I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to our Operation Freedom Health and Wellness ongoing series with one of the top, if not the top, naturopathic physician, not just in our country, but the world, Dr. Peter Gladden. Peter and I have been doing this series, much to the chagrin of big pharma, big medicine, big insurance, big government, for the past 5 years. Why don't they like this? Because our series is about empowering you and none of those other entities. We talk about issues that I can tell you, I'm an MD, I went to allopathic medical school. We talk about issues about the nutritional side of the equation that in my 4 years of medical school, we probably had, I don't know, I might be kind by saying this, less than 5 minutes of no, it's sad but true, 5 minutes devoted to. When in fact it should have been the entire course curriculum directed at the nutritional aspect, because as Dr. Gladden has driven home to each and every one of us, it is beyond the foundation, it is the superstructure to have health and wellness. Now, we have a website associated with this series, operationfreedomhealth.com. It's an information site. We have a free video there from Dr. Gladden entitled The 12 Bad Foods. These are the 12 foods you need to avoid to diminish inflammation, which is the root cause of much of the illness, much of the disease that we see, and you name the organ system. We also have renovated, if you will, operationfreedomhealth.com to make it easier from a information gathering standpoint. We have the products that we speak about during these presentations, and full disclosure, purchase of the products does help support this platform so we can keep doing these videos. But we have a section now near the very top called The Right Supplements for You, finding the right supplements. And we have a wellness assessment section, and we have a specific section on if you have a specific concern. I have joint problems, I have heart problems. Well, here are some entities you need to look at in information packs. And then we go through different organ systems where, well, I just want to know about supplements that would benefit the GI system. Well, we have that further down. Just hit that, or the heart, or the cardiovascular, or the pulmonary. So it's all there for you. And I hope you take advantage of it, because it is all about education and empowerment. And today, Pete and I are going to discuss an issue that has so been misrepresented, is probably the most diplomatic term I can give, to the public and even to people in the medical profession. And the issue revolves around cholesterol, friend or foe. It's my honor to welcome back Dr. Peter Gladden, who's, as I mentioned, one of the top, if not the top, naturopathic physician in our country. He's also a fantastic researcher and a fantastic author. His 2 books, Everybody is Sick and I Know Why, and Attempt to Cure with Holistic Medicine, are classics that you should own, you should have, and you should utilize. His websites, drgladden.com and leavingbigpharmabehind.com, are go-to locations. It's my honor to welcome back Dr. Peter Gladden. Pete, welcome back.
Dave, thanks so much for your kind words. It's been a red letter week in Dr. Gladden land, Dave. Let me tell you why.
Yeah, let's hear.
You finally know you're somebody when your book is banned.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Attempt to Cure with Holistic Medicine last week. Amazon refused to, it was a on-demand printing system that they have, right? So, and I don't know how long this book's been in print, 8 years maybe. Just last week, they flagged it for some reason. They won't tell me why.
Oh, of course they won't tell you why. Right.
They're no longer printing the book. So I have to do a workaround here. But yeah, it must mean that what I'm doing is working, because one of my books was banned. And I can hardly believe it. I mean, I believe it, right, because I'm not naive. But nonetheless, it really was kind of a real, like, really? You're going to ban this book? Really? Well, why on earth are you going to do this? And the answer is because everything that we have talked about is true. A patient cured is a customer lost. And the pharmaceutical engine juggernaut that rules the not-so-free world doesn't want information available that helps people to fix themselves. They just don't want to do it.
And the entities that ban this, the bottom line, Pete, is they don't care about other people. All they care about is their own financial bottom line.
Right.
And who breads their butter. Right? And who breads their butter. Right? And who butters their bread. And this is a prime example, right? Withholding this information will benefit who? Big pharma, big medicine, big insurance, big government that wants everybody dependent on them.
Right.
In banning this book, who does it harm? Every person who's interested in health and wellness.
Right. 100%.
I mean, it's that simple. It's black and white.
I mean, it is that simple. And, we're going to talk about cholesterol today. And as I got to tell you that everybody's, and rightly so, been this, and this, and this for the last 5 years. And rightly so. But I'm telling you, based on 35 years of clinical experience as a licensed naturopath, working with actual people with actual illnesses and attempting to help them recover, the shenanigans, for lack of and that's a kind word,
right,
that are going on inside of the Machiavellian, mediocre, monopolistic medical world that we live in are 1,000 times as bad as people are starting to understand that they think that it is in medicine. It's 1,000 times worse.
Right.
And we're going to talk about cholesterol today, which kind of shines a light on this. But numbers don't lie, right? Like someone said, Mark Twain, maybe you're welcome to your own opinion, but not your own set of facts, right? The leading cause of death in the United States is pharmaceutical medicine. The leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States is pharmaceutical medicine. And since we've been inside of the pharmaceutical dominant medical model for over 100 years now, chronic disease is accelerating.
Yes, it is.
Life expectancy is getting shorter.
It is.
It doesn't work. It works really great for military field medicine, surgery when it's necessary, and trauma care. And that's the wheelhouse. And it's ironic, or it's not ironic, but it's the right word is failing me. It'll come to me in a minute. But it is interesting to note that all of the advances in medicine in the last 100 years have been in the field of surgery. New surgical tools, new surgical techniques, new surgical drugs, new surgical, equipment, new diagnostic equipment. I mean, all of the advances that actually make a difference in people's lives in the last 100 years in medicine have all been in surgery and the surgical theater and emergency medicine. Why? Because that's the epitome of allopathic medicine, because it's reductionistic. You got a bullet in your arm. Doesn't get more reductionistic than that.
Right.
For goodness sakes. You've got gangrene in your shoulder joint. Well, doesn't get more reductionistic than that. But for everything else, all of the things that everybody goes to a doctor for, right? High blood pressure, heart conditions, breathing conditions, you name it, everything else, pharmaceutical centrist, allopathic medicine fails. It's the wrong dog for the hunt, because it's based on a juvenile understanding of how the human body works, and the treatments are not designed to cure anything. They're simply designed to manage it. And this is what we've gotten used to now. And like the fellow said, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so when you have a medical monopoly which controls everything, it's self-policing and self-regulating, all kinds of shenanigans can happen. And I got a couple slides I want to share with you concerning cholesterol. So, follow the science. Let's follow the science. Everybody wants to follow the science, but unless and until the science disagrees with the agenda. This was a study that was done in 1994. That's 30 years ago. It's called the ALAHAT study. That's an acronym for the Antihypertensive and Lipid Lowering Treatment and Study ostensibly to figure out what to do to prevent heart attacks. 10,000 patients were examined. 10, that's a good number.
Mm-hmm.
They all had high LDL, which is supposed to be the bad cholesterol, which is a myth, quite frankly. Mm-hmm. The people were divided into two groups. One got a statin drug, Pravachol, and the other just had diet.
Mm-hmm.
The statin drug group, there was no reduction in the statin drug group for the reduction of death related from heart attacks or for any other cause, for goodness sakes. No, didn't make a difference. 10,000 people, no difference. Statin drug made no difference. These are some books that people should read if you haven't already. The Great Cholesterol Myth by Sinatra and Johnny Bowden, who was a PhD. But perhaps the best one is this one. It's called The Cholesterol Myths by Ufi Ravenskov. Mm-hmm. Ravenskov did a meta-analysis of all of the research ever published relative to heart disease, all of it. And a meta-analysis. And he could find no relationship. Here's his website, by the way, ravenskov.nu. There's no relationship between cholesterol and heart disease. Here's the cliff notes of what he talks about in his book. And this is all science-based, but published in peer-reviewed medical journals, okay? People with low cholesterol become just as atherosclerotic as people whose cholesterol is high, so their arteries get jammed up just as much as people with high cholesterol. Didn't make a difference. If you had low cholesterol, if you had high cholesterol, your arteries got clogged. Your body produces 3 to 4 times more cholesterol than you eat. The production of cholesterol increases when you eat little cholesterol and decreases when you eat much. Well, why? Because your body knows how much cholesterol it needs.
Mm-hmm. And it does need it.
And it most certainly does need it. I'm going to tell you why it needs it in a minute. Mm-hmm. This explains why the prudent diet can't lower cholesterol more than an average of a few percent, because the prudent diet is BS, quite frankly. The cholesterol is unrelated to atherosclerosis. Just as many people with low cholesterol get heart disease as those with high cholesterol, and here are 70 published research studies, 50 published research studies that prove it. Published research studies that prove there is no relationship between high cholesterol and heart disease. But wait a minute. As it turns out, low cholesterol is bad. A study called the Honolulu Heart Program, published in 2001, right? That's 23 years ago. It looked at 8,000 individuals, and this was their conclusion. Long-term persistence of low cholesterol actually increases the risk of death. Let me say it again. Long-term persistence of low cholesterol increases the risk of death. A study done at the University Hospital in Toronto looked at 120 men who had previously had a heart attack. The study concluded that men with high cholesterol or low cholesterol were equally likely to have a second heart attack. This supports the previous research that said the same thing. And a Canadian study looked at 5,000 men for 12 years. 5,000 men for 12 years could not find a link between high cholesterol nor then heart attack. More than 20 studies have shown that people who have had a heart attack haven't eaten any more fat of any kind than other people, and the degree of their clogged arteries at autopsy was unrelated to cholesterol intake, fat intake. This is just the cliff notes. It is the tip of the iceberg of all of this stuff, which is available for the audience's edification at leavebigpharmabehind.com, leavebigpharmabehind.com. I encourage everybody to go there and educate themselves. Because, right? I mean, it's not just me that's saying this. Look, I'm just going to end with this, right? Okay, wait a minute. Richard Smith. You see this? I should get my picture out of the way here.
You're okay.
Move my picture. Richard Smith.
Oh, there you go.
MD, 25-year editor of the British Medical Journal. This isn't crazy Dr. Gladden, right, saying this. This is the editor of the British Medical Journal.
Right.
Here's what he said. Medical journals have become an extension of the marketing departments of major drug companies. His colleague, Richard Horton, editor of The Lancet, arguably the most prestigious medical journal in the world, medical journals have devolved into information laundering operations for the pharmaceutical industry. And, I could go on, but I won't. The basic take-home message here is that we haven't had a free medical market since the early 1900s. And because we haven't had a free medical market, the books have been cooked.
Mm-hmm.
So it's virtually impossible to get accurate information about what's really going on because the pharmaceutical industry is driving all of this.
They're the editors. They're the censors.
And it's not good.
No.
So what does this lead to? This leads to misinformation, reality by consensus.
Yep.
And, honestly, and you have a story about this I'd like you to share, but, practicing medical doctors pay more attention to what the drug reps say than what the pharmaceutical companies say, and they're actually intimidated by the drug reps. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I was going through it not with a statin issue, but with an anti-inflammatory issue. That a new anti-inflammatory hit the market, and the studies all showed that this would be effective at reducing folks' inflammation. Obviously, as an orthopedic, helping people with their pain without having to go with the narcotics and the like. And reviewed the studies. Studies were conclusive, and in one clinic, I tried a couple patients on it, and by the time I went home that day, I had already gotten a call back from one of the patients saying their blood pressure had gone up after they had taken one dose. So I said, "Stop it. Let's switch you over to let's just give it 24 hours and we'll switch you over to something else." And then by the next day, I got the call from the second patient saying the same thing. So two patients, and I started calling my colleagues at where we were practicing in our big medical center area. And they said, "Yeah, I started some patients on this too. And boy, I'm getting a lot of phone calls about adverse reactions." So I called the drug rep, the regional drug rep, and said, "Hey, look, just so you know, I'm never prescribing this again. I had put two patients on, two problems. I've made a tremendous number of phone calls in the last 24 hours. And there are a lot of problems with this medication. And I, in fact, have gone to our medical center and told them to stop dispensing it until we get a further handle on this, because this is not good." And the next thing I know, the corporate headquarters had sent some big poobahs with their company to come visit me and put their finger in my chest telling me to shut up.
Literally.
No, really, they were thumping me in the chest with their fingers telling me to shut up, that I didn't know what I was talking about. Wow. And I said, I don't know how many peer-reviewed published studies you have, but I have dozens. And I sit on a number of federal boards. Guess what? I'm not going to shut up. And in fact, you just made your problem worse. Because and it turns out I did make their problem worse. And frankly, our secretary that was sitting at the front desk, who witnessed this happening, looked at those executives from this drug company and said, "You don't know what you just did to your company and to you." And
Dave Janda.
Yeah. Well, I'm easy to get along with, but when you start thumping my chest and you start you start launching stuff at me that's just unjustified, I'm not a nice person. I mean, I do what needs to be done to ferret out the truth and then take the people that have been lying and make them pay a price. So it took, I went on a national rampage along with several others. And Pete, it took us, and this is going to the highest levels of power, saying, here's a problem. This is a huge issue, because by then we had accumulated hundreds and hundreds of people that had problems with this in the short amount of time it had been out, just in our area, and then around the country with my colleagues that I was contacting. And it took a couple years before it got pulled. And in that couple years, Pete, there were thousands of people who had passed away, and there was determined to be a link with that medication.
And nobody went to jail.
No.
Right. Now, can you imagine what would happen if one chiropractor or one naturopathic doctor or one herbalist gave one medicine to one patient and it killed them? What would happen?
Oh, it would be headlines. Headlines. It would be, drawn and quartering.
Yeah. So this underlines something that I think it's important for the listening audience to understand, that because of the medical monopoly and the power and the political persuasion and the largesse of the pharmaceutical industry, if you in the listening audience are waiting for the problem in medicine to change from the top down,
no,
you're going to be waiting a long, long time. It took Dave 2 years with a lot of energy and a lot, right? And it's not going to happen, folks. It's not going to happen. So our mantra is you have to learn what to do to take control of your own health. You have to take responsibility for your own health. You have to understand that there is a problem, and you have to actively seek out alternatives to the conventional nonsense, which are actually effective.
So, Pete, you earlier mentioned that the body has to have a certain amount of cholesterol, that it craves a certain amount of cholesterol to be healthy. So educate our listeners about the benefits, actually, the benefits of what the body sees in cholesterol.
Very good. So 75% of your central nervous system, your brain and your nerves, is made from cholesterol. 95% of the part of the brain that's affected by Alzheimer's disease is made by cholesterol. Every single hormone in the body, whether it's a sex hormone or any other type of hormone, are made from cholesterol. Your hormones are made from cholesterol. So every cell of the body has a cell wall. In that wall, guess what that's made from? Cholesterol. So cholesterol is so important to the human body and so globally needed that your body makes it. That's how important it is. And this underlines the fundamental difference between the holistic methodology and the reductionistic methodology. Holism argues that the human body is inhabited by an intelligent spiritual force, again, which is intelligent. Our bodies are smart. I mean, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. I mean, your body grew itself all by itself from one cell into you. Right now, our body's managing billions of biochemical processes, all of which are completely outside of our conscious control. The body's handling it. Well, what's in charge of that? Well, the spiritual intelligence of the body, which exits the body at the time of death, which is why the body decomposes. Same biochemistry. So why does a corpse decompose? Because Elvis has left the building. The self-regulating force is no longer there. So your body knows what to do. Your body knows how much cholesterol it needs. Your body is attempting to sort that out all by itself. But here comes the pharmaceutical centrist, reductionist healthcare provider, which is not healthcare, it's disease management provider. They think that they're smarter than nature, smarter than God. They don't even think that God exists because you can't prove that God exists. Nobody's seen God, nor the spiritual force, nor the vital force with an MRI or a CT or an X-ray. Therefore, it's a fiction, doesn't exist. So the body is a bag of biochemicals waiting to break. The body doesn't know how to fix itself. The body is waiting for the scientists to tell the body what to do. So 10 medical doctors get together and they decide that cholesterol is bad. And so cholesterol becomes bad. And we're going to ignore the research to the contrary because that does not support the pharmaceutical agenda, which is running the show. So we drive cholesterol into the ditch with statin drugs and fat-free diets. And guess what happens? The brain dries up. Boop. Alzheimer's increases. Dementia increases. Sex hormones dry up. So all of a sudden, erectile deficiency is a thing. But don't worry, we have a little blue pill for that. Right? Theirs was a remarkable study that was done. I referenced this somewhere on the information on my website. You ready for this? This study clearly showed, beyond a shadow of a statistical doubt, that postmenopausal white women with total cholesterol over 400 live longer than their peers. Over 400. Right now, conventional medical doctors freak out if your cholesterol's even close to 200.
Right.
Right? And again, this has become reality by consensus.
Yep. Which
is driven by bad research and the pharmaceutical agenda. Because I think last year, I mean, I've got this number somewhere, and it's upwards of $20 billion a year in statin drug sales. And that's a healthy number. And by the way, those numbers are projected to go up.
Well, and Pete, then when people go to the doc, their appointment is consumed with this talk about statins, when in fact it should be consumed about what are you doing nutritionally for the foundation of your health and wellness? What are you taking? Which gets me into the conversation that should be being had with folks as it relates to their intake should be based on, let's talk about your nutritional and mineral supplements. Let's talk about the foundation. And what people should be told, Pete, is what you and I have discussed a number of times. You got to get the foundation set. You got to get it. You have to have it solid in the ground like granite, and that's with the foundation pack with the 90 essential nutrients. But instead, we're going to talk about cholesterol for 18 for the 6.5 minutes of the 7 minutes I'm allowed to talk to you as a patient.
And I was able to figure the statin thing out. Sinatra, MD, was able to figure the statin thing out. Ufi Ravenskov was able to figure the statin thing out. If a conventional medical doctor does not have the time, nor the inclination, nor the chutzpah to do their own research and look at this stuff, because, I mean, this isn't hard to find. It's not like these studies are, in an archive in the Vatican that you can't get to. Right? But I'm telling you, and this goes right back to your experience. Most medical doctors are so overworked and, quite frankly, underpaid that they don't have time to figure this stuff out.
No.
They don't.
No.
And then, because they don't work for themselves, they work for a hospital group.
That's right.
Even if they did figure it out, if they said, wait a minute, no more statins, they're going to be fired.
Right.
So
they will.
It's a mess, man. It's a mess.
And if they talk about nutritional support to keep people from coming back to the doc or going to the hospital because the hospitals own most of these practices, guess what? You're persona non grata for doing this.
I just got this note from a guy that I was helping. This guy was 263 pounds, 6 feet. I think he's 58 years old. He worked on a train forever. He was a conductor on a train. 2020, hospitalized with COVID. Was on 5 different meds, including remdesivir. His oxygen drops into the low 80s when he walks, which is not good.
No.
And he had ground glass opacities in both of his lungs. This guy was on oxygen, couldn't walk more than 10 feet without needing to sit down and recover, right? White matter buildup in his brain, pitted toenails, and also a lot of anxiety because of his health, and rightly so. So long story short, I treated him for 8 weeks, mostly with the 90 essential nutrients and a couple of other things.
Which is the foundation pack.
Yep.
It's prominently featured on the website operationfreedomhealth.com, folks, about the pack and its components and the like. Go ahead, Pete.
This was my last interview with him, was on the 22nd of January.
Okay.
He doesn't need his oxygen anymore. He's going to the gym. He's working out, like on the treadmill, where before he couldn't go 5 steps without needing his oxygen and needing to sit down. His anxiety is much better. And everything is improving. His anxiety is basically gone. He can't let go of the oxygen tanks because he thinks that he's still going to have an event, even though he hasn't had an event in 8 weeks. But he's like, so that's going to take a little while.
That'll take a while. Yeah.
Get over.
It's understandable.
He used to have headaches all the time. That's gone. His vision blurry vision was gone. He's improved like 85% in his respiratory function and in his day-to-day life. Remarkable improvement with medical nutrition. That's all he did. Medical nutrition. And my lawyers want me to tell me that personal results may vary and that these are not guaranteed and yada, yada, yada. And they're correct. However, if I had a tomato plant and I cloned it, now I have 2 tomato plants that have exactly the same genetics. They are the same plant in 2 different pots. And in one of the pots, I put fertilizer, and the other pot, I do not. Which tomato plant's going to be stronger and healthier?
Yeah, give me the fertilizer plant.
The human body is no different.
That's right. It's that simple.
Yeah, and it's the best kept secret.
Now one more time. The foundation pack is made of 4 components. It comprises 90 essential nutrients and minerals. Educate our listeners.
So, easy breezy lemon squeezy. So the body needs 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 2 fatty acids. These are essential nutrients. The body needs them, can't make them. These nutrients have to go down the hatch somehow on a regular basis. If they don't, it's only a matter of time until the body runs out of something, and then things will start to break. For instance, the first thing to consider if you have high blood pressure is you don't have enough calcium and magnesium. Not because you have a bad gene. All right, there go my balloons. They agree.
They're celebrating calcium and magnesium. Yeah.
First thing to consider if you have heartburn, it's a deficiency in calcium and a deficiency in salt, table salt. You need to be salting your food so that it tastes good. First thing to consider if you have fibrocystic breasts is it's a deficiency in selenium. The first thing to consider if you have arthritis in any of your joints is that you're eating inflammatory foods all of the time. Your body has run out of calcium and minerals that it needs to build healthy bones and joints, and also sulfur-bearing molecules, right? First thing to consider if you have scurvy is the vitamin C deficiency. Everybody knows that, for goodness sake. So our message is clear, right? We have developed 4 nutritional supplements. Why did we develop 4? Why can't we put it all into one? Because you can't do that. I mean, you can only fit so many sardines in a can, right? So we, after painstaking review and research and formulation and reformulation and reformulation and reformulation, 4 supplements which comprise the 90 essential nutrients. It's a multiple vitamin, multiple mineral, multiple probiotic powder called Beyond Tangy Tangerine. A mineral supplement, liquid minerals, plant-derived organic minerals, which give you 100% of all your body's mineral needs. Calcium and magnesium supplement that's over 90% absorbable, which is a game changer in the industry.
It's huge.
And an essential fatty acid supplement made from fish oil that's squirted into the gel cap under a nitrogen blanket so the oil doesn't oxidize. So this stuff is extremely sophisticated in its formulation and delivers to your body for the first time in your life everything that your body needs to work the way that nature and God intended. And that's why it's a game changer. And we have interviewed 10,000 people who have taken this stuff. 10,000 people who have taken this stuff. 8,300, that's 83% of these people said that they noticed a dramatic positive change in their health from just 4 weeks of taking this stuff. 83%. And that's a really freaking good number. So if you're listening to this and you haven't tried the foundation pack, what on earth are you waiting for? You got to slam these tires and slam these doors and kick these tires You got to give this baby drive this car around the block 4 weeks and see if you notice a difference.
And a number of people have contacted me and said, I did that, but I didn't realize. And then I started taking it, and I didn't realize that I had been drifting down in how I felt. I didn't even realize how bad I was until I started taking this.
It's because we get used to it.
Yeah,
body gets used to. I mean, just imagine what it would be like if you were driving around in an automobile from the 1960s and you never changed the oil in it. Mm-hmm. You never changed the air filter. You'd get used to the car running like crap.
That's right.
I mean, you look around on the highway and everybody else's cars run like crap because, right? So this is the way that it is. So this is not very expensive. Try it, get the foundation pack and take it. My recommendation is, and we have different foundation packs, which is all outlined on the website, right? If you've got a bone and joint issue, you should do this belt. Right. This. If you've got a blood sugar issue, you should do this pack. We've got it all. It's really straightforward. If you're smart enough to pass the driver's license test, you can figure this out. Absolutely. My advice, do it for 90 days, plus the dietary change. Mm-hmm. And then you tell me how you feel. And if you don't feel a noticeable difference, I'll quit and, become a grave digger, for goodness sakes.
There you go. Pete, educate our listeners on drgladden.com and leavebigpharmabehind.com.
Well, if you want to take a deep dive into this and really become a student of this and learn how to extract yourself from the medical mousetrap, then visit my website, because that's why my website exists. I don't want patients. I want students.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. And all the information on my website is intended to teach you how to extract yourself from the medical mousetrap and learn what to do to make yourself healthy. Leave bigpharmabehind.com.
Pete, I'd like to thank you for everything you have done, are doing, and will do. Thank you, folks, for joining us. Again, we are always there for you. The health and wellness light is always on for you at OperationFreedomHealth.com as well. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.